clear the air.
And that lets you save
Look here.
True Form Life.
Green look on it.
Welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. As always, I'm your host, True Form's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. Where can you find out about what we're up to? Check out trueformlife.com for more details, and you can also find us on our True Form Facebook page. What do we have in store for you? Today we're interviewing our local chiropractic, Michael Lentz, and we're talking about how to start an exercise program. All that and so much more coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body with True Form's Drew Tadia, fitness expert on 96.5 CKFM.
In this segment, we're going to talk about how to start an exercise program. A lot of people start out exercising without a real plan. Depending on your goals or what you set out to do, it's going to be very difficult to accomplish them if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to go about it. Have you ever left the house, jumped into your car for no good reason, without any idea where you're going or why you sat down to begin with? Sounds funny, doesn't it? But this is the exact same thing we do when we head to the gym to exercise. If you sit in your car wondering what to do, eventually you're going to get tired of sitting and go back inside, which is exactly what happens when we stop exercising. We don't think about doing something most of the time because getting things done are natural. But there's always a set plan before we go about doing anything. If we're going to the grocery store, we decide why we need to go shopping and which supplies we need. We determine how we'll get there, which is usually in a vehicle. Then we decide what path we'll take, which roads are easiest and quickest. And we usually have a good idea how much time we'll spend before our next appointment, before we have to take the kids to school, on whatever else you have going that day. Unfortunately, when we start something new, we have to make a conscious effort to take every step necessary to accomplish what we set out to do. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what it is we want to accomplish. This is going to be the most important thing in this whole process, and it could be the most overlooked in the fitness field. What you want to accomplish will need to be more specific than most want to think about. Losing weight is the same thing as saying, I want to go to the store. Very general, and without clarity, we're lost. Great, we're at the grocery store. Now what? That's the same as, great, we lost a pound. Now what? What we want to accomplish needs to be very specific. Losing weight is the process, but it's not the goal. The goal might be to run a marathon, compete in a fitness competition. It might be to do Bruce Lee's 100 push-ups in a minute, or deadlift 600 pounds. It doesn't matter what it is. A quick note though, if it's easy, you won't find much motivation. The best way to set a goal is to make it personal. Maybe you've never been in a certain dress size, and you're made fun of because you're overweight. That right there is great motivation that will turn into determination to prove all those people wrong. A goal could be to run a marathon, dedicated to someone you loved or someone that passed on. A cause is a great reason to walk, let's say for diabetes. Maybe you lost someone or care about someone with diabetes and you want to help raise money. Whatever it is you choose, you have to choose it. It can't be someone else deciding what's important for you. This inspiration will have to come from within. Most people don't want to set this clear goal. Most people don't know what they specifically want. There's nothing wrong with that. But this isn't a good enough reason to avoid it. Why is this so important? The reason being this needs to be set in the first place is because this will be the deciding factor as to whether or not you'll succeed and accomplish what you set out to do. This will be the reason you push through those hard days, through the last few reps or the last few sets. This will be the reason you get out of bed and go to work out instead of rolling over or hitting the snooze button one more time. This has to be important because if it's not, nothing else will matter. If you figure out what you want to accomplish, just as you figure out why you're going to the grocery store, you figure out how you'll get there. This could be with a personal trainer, a fitness class, on your own, and it could be a combination of all of them. This doesn't matter a whole lot as long as you figure out how you'll go about it, what vehicle you'll use. Sometimes this is overlooked. We think about buying a membership and then we don't like the gym or the class or the instructor. It's important you decide what vehicle will work best for you. After that, a time frame is a good idea to figure out. You'll need to know how much time you can allocate each week for this goal, both how many times per week and how much time per day. This is important to decide before you get started because once you decide, there's no turning back. I'll explain the next step when we talk about priorities. Next, you're going to have to rearrange your priorities, which goes along with time. If you set exercise as a priority over work for 3 times a day for only 1 hour sessions, you have to make this decision each time. You need to book an hour off work and make the time for yourself just as important, if not more, as that client or that next sale. Because if you put it off just once, you'll find a reason to put it off another time. Book yourself an hour and stick with it. Don't let anything get in the way. You set the appointment. It's now a priority. Follow through with it and move closer to your fitness goal. So to recap, set the time frame allotted each week. Make these times a priority. I'm telling you, the perfect time will never come. Not if you don't make it the perfect time. There will always be a call to make, an email to answer, or another client to book. If you don't make the time, it'll never come. Remember the old saying? One day never comes. The only thing that matters is right now. Choose right now for your health. Progress is a very important deciding factor to keep a person on track. This shows you how hard your work is paying off, that your commitment and sacrifices are all worth it. Of course, the progress or results never come soon enough. And at times, when we don't see any, we get discouraged. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't find a way to measure our progress. I don't like the scale because there are so many deciding factors. And because 1 pound means a world of difference to anyone that jumps on it. So find another way to measure. A measuring tape is a good idea. Just be sure to use the same tape and the same person. Both of these are deciding factors when you're looking for consistency. I always recommend progress pictures. Most people avoid progress pictures, and the ones that do always regret it. And the other people are glad they did. So choose which one you want to be. There's other ways to measure, like your heart rate, how fast you're running around a track, etc. Make sure you find a way to measure progress, because this will help keep you on track. And the last point I want to talk about is accountability. Everyone is different, and there's nothing wrong with needing someone to meet you at the gym or members expecting you at class. If you're one of those people that don't like to work out alone, find a workout partner or join a class that will keep you motivated. There's all kinds of different options if a trainer seems expensive. You can still get a program. You can follow up once a week or once a month. So don't let expense deter you from learning how to use a proper program. Making your goal public is a great way to be accountable. You can post videos of your progress, you can write a blog, or you can let everyone in the office know you're trying to eat healthier. This way you'll have other people knowing what you're trying to do and help you stay on track. A lot of people avoid making this public, which I'd say is a mistake. Sure, you'll have those people that give you a hard time or snicker when you're making a healthy choice. The only reason they do this is because they're jealous or envious that you're willing to make sacrifices and changes that they're not. People fear being left behind. They're scared of others making progress when they themselves aren't. If you're one of those people, think hard about how negative your snickers can be on someone trying to live healthier and find a way to be supportive. And on the other side of the spectrum, more times than not only will you inspire others to change their habits, but you'll find support in them also. This accountability is very important. If you're working out alone, no one knows it. It's easy to not show up or put in less effort. Everything we're doing here is widening our scope of success. We're trying to give ourselves a better chance to achieve our goals. Having someone to be accountable to will make all the difference. So to sum things up here, make sure you have a plan. Don't buy a membership and show up with no idea what you're going to do. There are plenty of professionals around that will help you set and achieve your goals. Find someone you trust and find someone that's good at what they do. For more information or assistance, you can always visit trueformlife.com for all your health and fitness needs.
Exploring mind and body with Trueform's Drew Tadia would not be possible without the help from the following sponsors: Lentz Chiropractic, AG Foods in Didsbury, CLC Fitness Center, Health Street in the Cornerstone Shopping Center Olds, and Shoppers Drug Mart, working together to help build a healthier tomorrow. For more information on Trueform Life, Drew Tadia, or how to become a sponsor of Exploring Mind and Body, visit trueformlife.com.
All right, we're welcoming back your local chiropractor, Michael Lentz. Thanks for joining us today, Michael.
Thanks for having me on again.
All right, today we're going to be talking about stability through your nervous system. That's right?
Absolutely. Balance is key, and it's important in everything you do. So we're going to talk about how chiropractic can help you out with your balance and keep you balanced.
Okay, I like this subject. We just kind of made it up. Just talking about what we're going to talk about. But this is good because it's slippery out. And it's snowing, there's ice, and I can't balance with my eyes closed.
Yeah, this time of year, it's definitely more common to see people having problems on the ice, and things are pretty slippery out there. So what we did with Drew here just before we got on is we did a little test of him to see what his balance is like. He's never had a problem with his balance, and but we found that once he had his eyes closed and tried to stand on one foot, his balance wasn't so good. And I think a lot of people at home, you can even just try that very simply. If you close your eyes, try standing on one foot, you should be able to do that for 5 or 10 seconds. A lot of people can't. And if you can't, you should probably get that checked out because you're setting yourself up for slips and falls and other balance problems.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of eye-opening with my eyes closed. But I never had a problem with balance when we stand on one foot and stretch, or when I'm doing physical activities. Balance is not a problem, but when I stood there on one foot with my eyes closed, I definitely had a problem there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, balance comes from a combination of nervous system signals coming from your joints, your muscles, your inner ear, as well as your eyes. And so if you take any one of those away, or if any one of those isn't functioning optimally, other aspects are going to have to try to come in and make up for it and adapt around it. So usually for your everyday kind of stuff, you'll be okay, but your nervous system isn't functioning as well as it could, and because of that adaptation, your balance isn't going to be as good, your response time isn't going to be as quick as it should be, your coordination is going to be a little bit off, and so you are more likely to have some balance problems and more likely to fall.
Okay, so when we're talking about everyday life, one of the things I brought up to you is, what if I just practiced standing on one foot? So maybe that could translate to my regular life activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will help, but you're only going to be dealing with those areas that are adapting and functioning well. Now, usually there's been a deficit or an injury or some reason that all those systems aren't functioning well. And so what we as chiropractors do is we can do an examination to narrow down exactly what areas are not functioning well, and then come up with a treatment plan that is going to stimulate those areas and get them all functioning properly so that your entire nervous system is working well. Rather than adapting around it, everything's going to be functioning optimally to keep your balance.
Okay, we talked briefly about concussions. That's a scary subject for people that don't know exactly what it is. But more so concussion. There's concussions in sports, but you have concussions when you're slip and fall on the ice. I mean, lots of people go through this.
Absolutely. A lot of people think that a concussion has to be a big impact where you lose consciousness, and that's simply not true. A concussion is really any kind of injury to your brain. It can happen with very minor traumas, falls, bumps. It happens to kids a lot. Almost any athlete is going to have that kind of happen to them. And even elderly people, if they slip and fall, there's a good chance of them injuring their brain. So it's really more common than a lot of people realize.
So how would someone come in, and so maybe someone fell and maybe they had a problem, and maybe they thought they had a concussion, and they want to come to get an adjustment to get things leveled out. What would you do? What would you recommend?
Absolutely. So we'd start out by looking at any other areas that may have been injured or damaged, because you want to deal with those first. You also have to be aware of any kind of a brain injury. It needs to be treated appropriately and properly. Now, the medical route for any kind of concussion is rest and time, which is okay because it, again, allows your body to adapt, but it never gets the injury fixed. It never deals with the actual problem. So what we do as chiropractors is we can look for that problem. We do some specific testing to try to narrow those areas down, and then we can specifically tailor our treatment to that person to get their nervous system back on track and get their balance back.
So does it vary between each person? Like, is there any kind of specific test you could share with us that give people a better idea, maybe not to be scared to come in and get this checked out?
Yeah, for sure. And like you say, everybody's different. And just because you have a concussion doesn't mean you get treated the same way. So that's why we need to be very specific in our testing. And that's why not everything works for everyone. But we start out with very simple balance tests like we did with you today. We'll look at your eyes. We'll look at the way your eyes are moving, the way they're reacting and responding to light. We'll look at the way your neck and eyes move together and the way things respond to movement. So all of those kind of things put together give us more information as to exactly how your nervous system is functioning and the information that it's getting to allow you to stay balanced. So
how can this translate to other areas of life or overall well-being besides just balance?
Well, really, balance is important in everything you do. Right. Is something we don't even really think about, but especially any kind of athletic activity, you need to have that balance in order to function well. But just everyday things, anything you're doing depends on your balance.
Right. So